Welcome to Everyday Linux User, and welcome to the 6th episode of I Tried It So You Didn't Have To. And I get the feeling today's one is one that you're probably going to want to try out. Now, precursor to this, I've not tried this before myself, but I've watched other people's videos, and by all accounts this is a top-notch operating system that we're going to be installing today. So the version of Linux we're installing today is called Vanilla OS. And Vanilla OS is what is known as an immutable operating system. Now, when I first heard that term, I had no idea what it meant in terms of operating systems. I know what immutable means, but essentially your operating system is locked down, so you can't accidentally corrupt your operating system. Most folders are going to be read-only with minimal access to them. You can install applications and you can edit config files in certain folders, but by and large you can't break the main system because you have no access to it. And the way it works is if it uses two root partitions. So if you think about a bank transaction, if I send £10 to you via my bank account, if my £10 comes off of my bank balance but doesn't show up on yours, that's a bad thing. It's a failed transaction. No one wants that because it means I've lost £10 and you haven't gained the £10. Where's that £10 gone? It's just disappeared into the ether. Okay, so what actually happens in the real world when it comes to banking is you'll send the £10 and it won't come off mine until it's hit yours. So essentially you've got this a double transaction there, in the sense of both sides of the transaction have to actually work before the transaction is complete. So it won't come off my balance until it's hit your balance. So from an immutable operating system point of view, you've got two root partitions. And what will happen is the installation of an application will happen in the root partition that you're not currently using, and it will make sure it installs perfectly correctly, and then it will make its way over to the root partition you are using. So it will make sure that it's completely installed properly before it actually hits the main system that you're using. So you end up with in a place where you have no more broken packages. Now it's also uses containers. So by default, I believe the package managers all app images and flatpaks, or you can install applications from lots of different operating systems. So you could install Arch applications or Debian packages or Ubuntu packages, OpenSUSE, Fedora, all those packages, but they're all containerized for the operating system they're there for. So in essence, you should be able to run any package that's available for any operating system that's configured to run with Vanilla OS. So I'm going to stop waffling now, and I'm going to actually go through Vanilla OS. So here I am on the Vanilla OS website, and it says it's designed to be a reliable and productive operating system for your daily work. The desktop environment is perfect for your daily tasks. Thanks to its clean and intuitive interface, everything is set up so that you can start working and focus on what matters. So with Vanilla, you're going to get a Vanilla Gnome desktop, and it should be easy to install applications. You can see here it says about playing your favorite video games, and you can do development if you want to do that, and it says you've got access to a large set of applications. So in essence, for the everyday Linux user, Vanilla should be fantastic. If we go to distrowatch.com, and now I'm overselling Vanilla OS here without actually ever using it, but it's the concept that I'm interested in. The concept is sound and is a good one. Vanilla OS is number 18 on the DistroWatch rankings, and let's see how it fares with all the other distributions that we've tried thus far. So, as I have with all the other episodes in this series, I'm going to do it within a virtual machine. Now it takes up a lot more space than a normal operating system because you have 2 root partitions, so it's not good enough just to have a 25 gigabyte drive for this one. In this one I'm going to need a much bigger drive for my VirtualBox. So if you want to try and follow along, you can just click on this download link here, and there's the beta version, which is going to be the next version out, or we've got this Vanilla OS 22.10 Kinetic, and it's the current stable release. So that's the one I'm trying at this moment in time. So you click on download now, and then you can just click on this ISO image here, and that will download Vanilla OS. So I've already done that. And if we go to my downloads folder, you can see I've got a Vanilla OS ISO image here. So let's try and create the virtual machine. So I have VirtualBox. I'm going to create a new machine and I'll call it Vanilla. I'm going to put it on my SSD. I'll put it in there. And it's Linux based. And we're just going to do a generic Linux 64-bit, I think. So we're doing other Linux 64-bit. We're going to ramp the memory right up because it is Gnome, and we'll click create. Now my hard drive this time I'm going to make 75 gigabytes. So that's 25 gigabytes per root partition I'm creating, and then 25 for other stuff that you might want to use. I'm going to go into settings. I'm going to go to system, processor, ramp that up to the 4, and ramp my display up, and away we go. So I click start here, and we go here and click add, and then I'm in my downloads folder, so I'm just going to click Vanilla OS and choose, and we'll click start. So here we are, we can see Vanilla OS has loaded. Let's see if we can change the display settings. And we'll go into full screen mode. So I've now got the ability to try Vanilla or install it. I'm going to install it. Language. I want English UK. So choose that there. And you've got these little arrows that take you through each step of the way. English keyboard. I don't want the Australian one. I want the English UK one. Region, it's not picking up my regions. I'm having to choose them. So Europe, London, like that, and then it's picked up the correct time. Select a disk, this one here. It's forced me to configure entire disk. We're going to choose that, click apply, and then carry on. Now note that if you're doing this on bare metal, it is going to wipe your entire drive, so make sure you're backed up first. Possibly worth using a virtual machine like I am for your first attempt, just to see if you like it. But other than that, click confirm changes, and then it's create a user. So I am liking the installer. So now it says username cannot contain special characters or uppercase letters. I've changed that already, so we're going to ignore that. So it's now asked me to confirm the installation, so we're going to do that. and now it's installing Vanilla OS. So we'll leave that and see where we are in about 20 minutes time. So it took a while and there's no real progress bar, it just does it, but in the background it all completed and you can see it says all done. So I'm now going to reboot. You can see it says now remove the installation media and press enter. So what I'm going to do is go up here, and it's done it automatically because I'm in a virtual machine, and now I can just press enter to reboot. So here we are in Vanilla OS. So I'm going to enter my password. It's lost my display settings, didn't keep that up after installing, so we'll go back in there again now. So here we are at the start wizard, so let's do it. Let's start. Choose a color scheme. I'm going to choose the light mode. Package manager, you can choose between Flatpak and App Image. I'm going to leave both of them on. And then you've got a choice of core applications, Office, common utilities. So if I, by default, all core applications are turned on, but if I go into here, you can see it lists the applications you're going to get, so you can turn off the ones you don't actually want. But I'm going to leave it as the default, so I'll click apply there. Office Suite, you can go in here. LibreOffice is a choice, so click apply there, and if I switch that on, then I'll get LibreOffice. And then you've got common utilities. Again, if you click in here, it'll tell you what they are. I don't know what Bottles is. You've got games launchers, boxes, backups, there's a whole load of stuff here. I'm going to click apply and we'll turn them all on, and we'll click next. Do you want to install Timeshift? This is useful if you want to do point in time backups. I'm going to skip that, I don't really need it, this is just a demo. Open VM tools, I'll click install there. And do you want restricted codecs? This will give me all the fonts such as Arial and Verdana, and it will give me the ability to play MP3 audio, MP4 video, and any sort of proprietary codecs. So click install there, and then there's a port which will send error logs. I'm going to leave that turned off, and type in the password. And it's installing all the things I've just asked it to install. So everything's now set up. I can now reboot. And here we are again. And this time it's remembered my display settings. And you can see it's finalizing. You can now see that the installation is complete, and we can click close. And hopefully we're in a position we can use Vanilla OS. Now Vanilla OS uses a stock Gnome desktop environment. So the immediate thing you'll see is there's no menu, there's no icon bar down the left hand side or anything. All we've got is this activities in the top left, and on the top right is where you choose things like settings. So you can see I'm using a wired connection at this moment in time. If I want to use wireless, plugged in a Wi-Fi dongle, and I'm going to go down to my devices down here, and I'm going to turn it on Bluetooth, and we're going to turn it on Wi-Fi, and hopefully when I go up here now, in a few seconds time we should hopefully see Wi-Fi come up, and there it is. Oh, turned it off by accident. And you can see all my Wi-Fi networks there. And if I go into Bluetooth,
Bluetooth mode,
you can see when I go into the settings into Bluetooth, you can see my speakers there.
connecting,
And that now says connected to my Wi-Fi speaker. And you'll see down here we've got printers. So I can click add printer. It's searching for a printer, will it find one? And you see it's found my OfficeJet 3830, click add there. And my printer's added. So hardware works perfectly well. If we go into the top left corner, this brings up your activities. You can also get there by pressing the Windows key, like that. And that gives you, these things here are called workspaces. So I can open an application on this workspace and I can open an application on that workspace, and then you can flip between both of the workspaces. So to prove that point, if you click down here, you could open any one of these. So I could open a web browser, and this is a stock web browser that comes with Gnome, and I can go over to this workspace here and I can open a terminal window, and so I can flip, if I want to, between the two workspaces. If I press the Windows and A key at the same time, it comes up with the list of applications. So you can either click here and go down to here, that brings up a list of applications, and you can navigate through this list here to see the applications, and these are the ones that were installed that we knew about, and you can navigate that way. You can search for an application, so if I type LibreOffice for instance, it'll bring up everything to do with LibreOffice, and I can open any of the applications. So for instance I can open the writer, and we're in LibreOffice, so I can click here and start creating a new document. Pressing Windows and A brings up this menu as well, and you've got this thing called an extension manager. If you don't like the way stock GNOME works, you can go in here and you can install application menus, for instance. So now we've got this menu up here and we can navigate that way. But by default it's the stock GNOME desktop environment. When it comes to installing new applications, this is kind of key. So we've got GNOME software, I believe. So down here, if for instance I want to install Chrome, because I turned on Flatpaks and app images at the start, that will be available. And you can see it's a FlatHub package, so I can click install there and that should now install. Remember, if this fails in any way, it won't leave my computer in an unusable state because of the way the immutability works. That's now installed, so I can click open. Incidentally, if I go back into my thing here, you see Chrome is there. If I want to, I can drag it into here and it will be in this quick launch bar at the bottom. And now you can see it's asking me if I want to make Chrome the default browser. I'm going to say yes. I'm not going to sign in. So if I click here, you can see that my Bluetooth should now work. And we can mess around with the sound.
And in today's video we're going to be talking about SDesk. Now I found SDesk, it was one of the distributions released in either late January.
So we'll cancel out of there. If we go back here, we should be able to find other pieces of software you might need. For instance, new image manipulation package. We can find Kdenlive for video editing, Spotify, and Steam. And there's Steam. Thus far I found Vanilla to be very good. One thing I don't particularly like about Vanilla OS is GNOME. But if you do like GNOME, then it is going to be something that you're going to enjoy, because it's easy to install software, there's minimal interruptions, and you can use this operating system as if you were a Windows user, and there's no need to go into the terminal. You can do everything you want straight from the graphical user interface. The things I don't like about GNOME, for me it's like the Windows 8 thing, right? So in Windows 8, all of a sudden, instead of having the start menu at the bottom, everything came in from the right. Okay, and a lot of people complained about that, and they said, oh, we need the start button back. So in 8.1 they put the start button back down here, so you've got this thing coming in from the right and the start button down on the left. GNOME's almost the same. I go to activities at the top, and if I want to see my applications, I have to go right down to the bottom. Now, if you know the keyboard shortcuts, it's not so difficult because you can press the Windows key and A at the same time, and that brings up your applications. And a bit like Android, you can group your applications, so you can see I put all my Office utilities into this box. I put all utilities into there, accessories into there. I've got an unnamed folder. It's kind of settings. You can rename that folder. So I guess that would go in there as well. And that would go in there as well. And then contacts would be an accessory. We've got this other screen. We've got games in here, so we can put Lutris and heroic games into there. And we've got some more utilities here, and we've got some audio stuff. If I want to drag that to the next screen, I can, and I can put that's an audio thing, so sound and video. And that's also sound and video. And so you can see I can group things, and now it's all on one screen, but the point still remains is the activities up there, the applications are down there, which I find a little bit frustrating. And the other thing about Gnome is it's quite heavy in terms of resource usage. Vanilla OS is actually very, very good. So there's a couple more things to show you before I sign off. We've got this Vanilla OS Control Center, and you can choose how often updates happen. So you can turn off updates if you've got low battery, or if you're doing something like video editing or something like that, it won't install updates. And it will automatically update your system. But the other thing you have to remember is, because it's immutable, when it does updates, it does it in the other root partition, and only when it's finished will it move over to your actual partition, so it's not as intrusive. And then you've got this idea called subsystems. So we've got the Arch subsystem, the Fedora subsystem, Alpine, OpenSUSE, Void. So in theory you can get all the applications that these subsystems provide. And what it does, it puts them into containers. So any applications you install using these subsystems will be containerized, so they won't break your system. Obviously, if the application within the container is broken, it's broken within the container, and there's nothing you can do about that. But it's not going to break your entire system, it's just going to break that small container. To install applications using one of these subsystems, you can see I've done Firefox here. So if I do Control-Alt-T, say I want to install Chromium, I can do. So let's try apx install zipper Chromium browser. So this is installing Chromium browser using OpenSUSE. Now you can see it's saying there's a problem, and these are the solutions it's given. 1, deinstallation of BusyBox. 2, do not ask to install a solvable provided in Chromium browser. 3, break Chromium. I'm going to go for 1. See what happens. The idea is if you want to find a package and it's not available for one system, you can install it using another system. If you can't find it with that one, you can use another system, and eventually you'll get one that's working. Now, most packages are available in Flatpaks or app images anyway, so the chance of having to need to use this slim. But if you do find that you need a solution that's only in RPM format, or it's only part of the Arch user repository, then this is how you can do it. And what it means is you don't have to keep distro hopping between different distributions, because in theory you should be able to install the application from the subsystem that you want. I mean, the good thing about this is that it won't break your system. If this fails, you can just carry on with your day and try a different subsystem. So APX runs zipper Chromium browser, and that will run the Chromium browser. So let's sum up Vanilla OS. If you stay within the boundaries of the everyday Linux user and you stay on the beginner slopes, then I find that Vanilla OS is easy to install, it's easy to use, it's easy to install software using the Gnome software center, and it's easy to run the applications. Gnome's not my favourite, but that's only a personal preference. If you like it, then it's definitely usable for the everyday Linux user. If you start to go off the beginner slopes onto something more difficult by using these subsystems, then I found that trying to install applications was a little bit hit and miss. Using these subsystems will take a bit of time getting used to, but they are a good idea in principle, that you can install applications from any ecosystem and run them in a containerized version, and therefore you've seen I've got Chromium up and running. Now in theory Chromium should be available here, but it's not showing up as here, and that's something that I could work on. In fact, a quick Google search seemed to show that APX export should make that possible, and it does indeed. So now I've got Chromium in my list of applications, and you can see that is actually running. So with a little bit of playing you can get these subsystems working and install applications from any of the distributions. So yeah, all in all, my verdict on Vanilla OS is actually I really like it. I think it's a great operating system. I think it's perfect for the everyday Linux user, especially if you start off away from the subsystems and just stick to the normal Gnome and the normal software center. It's easy to install, easy to use, and you won't have many problems setting up hardware or anything like that. And then once you get used to it, you can start playing with these subsystems and really build up a nice Linux experience. So that's it, that's the end of the review. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you next time on Everyday Linux User.